Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we need to have a serious talk, a real, honest conversation about something the automotive industry is pushing hard right now. If you read the news, or if you look at what giant legacy brands like Toyota and Porsche are doing, you might think the future of cars isn't electric batteries at all. You might think the real future is hydrogen, or these magical things called synthetic e-fuels. They paint this beautiful picture for us, right? You pull up to a gas station in your brand new Toyota, you pump hydrogen into your car in 3 minutes, just like gasoline, and the only thing that comes out of the tailpipe is pure, clean water. Or you keep driving your roaring Porsche 911, shifting gears, burning fuel, but somehow it's 100% green and the polar bears are happy. It sounds perfect. It sounds like the ultimate win-win. We keep the cars we love, we keep the gas stations we're used to, and we save the planet. But guys, today I'm going to break down why this is, quite frankly, a massive illusion. It is a $100 billion distraction. Today, we're going to look behind the curtain of the hydrogen and e-fuel hype, and I'm going to explain to you in plain, simple English why physics, mathematics, and common sense prove that we are being played. Let's start with hydrogen, and let's use the poster child for this, the Toyota Mirai. Toyota has spent decades and billions of dollars trying to make hydrogen cars happen. And on paper, a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle is actually a fascinating piece of engineering. You have a tank of pressurized hydrogen gas. That gas mixes with oxygen from the air inside a fuel cell. It creates electricity to turn the wheels, and it drips water onto the road. So what is the problem? Why am I calling it a fraud? It all comes down to a very simple concept called well-to-wheel efficiency. In simple terms, how much energy do you lose from the moment you create the power to the moment your tires actually move on the asphalt? Let's say you have a wind turbine that generates 100 watts of clean, green electricity. If you have a normal battery electric vehicle like a Tesla or a BYD, you take those 100 watts, you send them through the power grid, into your charger, and into your battery. After some minor losses in the wires and the battery chemistry, you get about 75 to 80 watts of actual driving power at the wheels. That's really good. Now, let's look at hydrogen. You take those same 100 watts of clean energy. First, you have to use it to perform electrolysis, literally ripping water molecules apart to separate the hydrogen. That process alone loses about 30% of your energy right off the bat. Then, hydrogen is the lightest element in the universe. To put it in a car, you have to compress it to 10,000 psi or chill it down to absolute zero so it becomes a liquid. Both of those processes require massive amounts of electricity, more energy lost. Then you have to put that hydrogen on a big, heavy diesel truck and drive it to a special hydrogen gas station, more energy lost. Finally, you pump it into the Toyota Mirai where the fuel cell has to convert that gas back into electricity, more energy lost. By the time those original 100 watts of clean energy reach the wheels of a hydrogen car, you only have about 25 to 30 watts left. Guys, it is thermodynamic madness. You are throwing away 70% of the energy just to keep the gas station business model alive. It's like buying a massive, expensive pizza, throwing 7 slices in the trash and only eating 1. But wait, what about Porsche? Porsche isn't betting everything on hydrogen fuel cells. They're putting millions into something called synthetic e-fuels. They even opened a massive plant in Chile to make it. The idea here is that they capture CO2 from the air, mix it with green hydrogen, and create a synthetic gasoline. You can pour it straight into an old 911, a Ford Mustang, or a Mazda Miata, and boom, it's a carbon-neutral combustion engine. As a car guy, I admit, my heart wants this to work. I love the sound of a flat-6 engine revving to 8,000 RPM. I really do. But my brain knows it's a fantasy for the everyday driver. Why? Because the energy losses for making e-fuels are even worse than making pure hydrogen. It takes an astronomical amount of electricity to make a single gallon of this stuff. Right now, a gallon of this stuff costs upwards of $40 to make. Even if they scale it up massively, it will always be significantly more expensive than just charging a battery. And here's the other dirty secret they don't want to talk about in their fancy commercials. E-fuels might be carbon neutral globally, but they still burn in the engine. They still produce nitrogen oxides, carbon monoxide, and fine particulate matter. If you're standing next to a Porsche burning e-fuels at a crosswalk in the middle of the city, you're still breathing in toxic exhaust fumes. It doesn't solve local city pollution at all. Synthetic fuels are not going to be the way you and I commute to work. They're going to be a highly expensive luxury liquid for rich guys who want to take their vintage Ferraris and Porsches to the racetrack on the weekend. And honestly, that's fine. Keep the classics alive. But telling the public that e-fuels will save the everyday combustion engine is just not honest. So, this brings us to the most important question. If hydrogen is so terribly inefficient, and if e-fuels are so ridiculously expensive to make, why are massive, incredibly smart companies like Toyota and Porsche pushing them so hard? Are their engineers stupid? Absolutely not. Their engineers are brilliant. This isn't an engineering mistake, this is a corporate business strategy. You have to follow the money. Look at a company like Toyota. They have spent the last 50 years building the most perfectly optimized, profitable internal combustion engine and hybrid supply chain in human history. They have thousands of factories, millions of workers, and countless patents based around engines with pistons, spark plugs, and transmissions. When you switch to a pure electric vehicle, you don't need any of that. An EV motor has like 2 moving parts. Legacy automakers are terrified of the pure electric transition because it makes all their past investments worthless. It levels the playing field, which is why new brands from China and the US are suddenly beating them. By pushing hydrogen and e-fuels, these legacy brands are trying to buy time. They're trying to convince politicians and consumers to slow down the electric transition. They want to keep a world where cars need complex plumbing, where you have to visit a centralized fuel station, and where they control the entire complicated ecosystem. It's not about saving the environment, it's about saving their current business model. They want you to sell you a product that requires you to keep coming back to the dealer for complex maintenance and going to the pump every week. Look, the beauty of the true electric revolution isn't just zero emissions, it's the simplicity. It's the fact that you can put solar panels on the roof of your own house, generate your own power, and charge your own car while you sleep. That is true energy independence. Toyota, Porsche, and the big oil companies do not want you to be independent. They want you reliant on a pump, whether that pump dispenses dinosaur juice, synthetic gasoline, or compressed hydrogen. The market has already decided. If you look at the sales numbers globally, consumers are choosing batteries. The technology for EVs is moving so fast with new solid-state batteries and ultra-fast charging times that by the time the hydrogen infrastructure is even 10% ready, EVs will have already won the game entirely. Hydrogen and e-fuels are incredibly cool science experiments, and they will absolutely be useful for things like cargo ships, airplanes, or heavy industry. But for passenger cars, it's a dead end. Don't let the marketing campaigns fool you. The $100 billion lie is designed to protect their profits, not your wallet. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. And I want to hear from you down in the comments. Am I being too hard on hydrogen? Do you think Toyota can actually pull a rabbit out of the hat, or are they just stalling for time? Let's talk about it down below. Thanks for hanging out with me in the garage today. Drive safe, make smart choices, and I'll catch you in the next video.